Today, let's dive into one of archaeology's greatest, and I mean greatest, unsolved mysteries. It's a story that's tantalizing, it's dangerous, and it's all centered on the sealed tomb of China's very first emperor. Ancient texts give a pretty stark warning to anyone who might think about disturbing the emperor's final resting place. For more than 2,000 years, these incredible stories of deadly automated traps have guarded the mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, a man who didn't just unify a nation, he planned to rule an entire empire from the afterlife. But before you could even get close to those legendary traps, you'd have to get past the emperor's silent guard. And believe me, this isn't just any guard. We're talking about an entire army standing watch for all eternity. The scale of this is it's hard to even wrap your head around. We're not talking about a few statues here. This is an army of over 8,000 life-sized terracotta soldiers, archers, and horses. And the craziest part, every single one has a unique face. It's a whole imperial legion, crafted from clay and buried in perfect battle formation. But here's the thing that will absolutely blow your mind. This massive, world-famous terracotta army, it's just the opening act. Seriously. They are just the security detail for the main prize, the real mystery. The emperor's central tomb, which to this day remains completely sealed and unexcavated. So what in the world are they protecting with such incredible devotion? Well, we don't have to rely only on our imagination. Ancient historians, writing just a century or so after the emperor's death, left us some frankly unbelievable descriptions of what's waiting inside. They talk about a palace built underground, a complete replica of the universe. The ceiling is supposedly a map of the heavens, with constellations made from shimmering pearls. And the floor? A map of his entire empire, with tiny palaces and, most famously, rivers and oceans of flowing liquid mercury, built to mimic China's great waterways. And you know what? Those mercury rivers? They're probably not just a fantasy. Modern soil samples from the ground right above the tomb show mercury levels that are astronomically higher than normal. It seems like the legends are rooted in a very real and very, very toxic reality. Okay, so crossbows, rivers of poison, that sounds like more than enough reason to stay out, right? But what if I told you that's not the main reason archaeologists haven't broken into the tomb? The real obstacle is it's something way more subtle than any ancient trap. It's the first thing everyone asks, isn't it? We've got drones, we've got robots. If we're worried about ancient booby traps, why not just send in a machine to explore? But see, that's the thing. The problem isn't about protecting the scientists. It's about protecting the artifacts from the scientists. And that brings us to the core paradox here. The legendary threats were crossbows and mercury. The real, modern threats, they're oxygen, humidity, and bacteria. The very air that we breathe would become a weapon of mass destruction inside that perfectly sealed 2,200-year-old environment. And how do we know this? Well, tragically, we've already seen what happens. When the terracotta warriors were first pulled out of the ground, they weren't the plain gray figures we see today. No, they were painted in brilliant, dazzling colors. Just try to picture it. The moment that first pit was opened, the dry air of the region hit the damp, delicate lacquer that was holding the paint together. And within seconds, literally in just a few seconds, that 2,000-year-old layer curled up, flaked off, and just turned to dust, taking all that beautiful color with it. An irreplaceable treasure was damaged by the very act of discovering it. So that's the harsh reality facing archaeologists and the Chinese government. They know that whatever is inside that tomb, ancient silks, priceless texts, painted artifacts, it's all probably in a state of near-perfect preservation. And they also know that opening it with the technology we have today would mean knowingly destroying it all in an instant. So this whole situation, it isn't an impossible problem. It's actually a deliberate choice to wait. Archaeologists have made the incredibly difficult decision to leave the tomb alone, to save it for a future generation that might just have the technology to do the job right. Looking at this timeline really puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? The tomb was sealed for millennia. Then it's rediscovered by accident less than 50 years ago. And then comes that crucial, painful realization in the 80s, we just weren't ready. And so we wait. We preserve this incredible discovery for a future when our technology can finally match our curiosity. And you have to admit, That's an incredible act of scientific responsibility to choose preservation over the fame and glory of an immediate discovery. We're not saving this tomb from the past, we're saving it for the future.
So that's the big question just hanging in the air. Will the technology to get in there and preserve everything at the same time be developed in our lifetime? Or will it be centuries from now? For the moment, the tomb just waits. A perfect time capsule holding not just the secrets of an ancient empire, but also the promise of a future breakthrough.